All right. So here's the thing that I've discovered when I was getting ready for this live. This is actually the 5th year I've done an Easter live, which to me is crazy because we have an Easter live in 2022. There's an Easter live in 2023, an Easter live for 2024, an Easter live in 2025, and this one, not to mention the one specifically dedicated to the rabbits and eggs. So for those of you that have been sitting around waiting for inspiration, there is inspiration out there, I assure you. But what I wanted to do is just kind of briefly touch on some of the highlights so you can go back and watch these. My advice would be going to timholtz.com and just type Easter in the search bar, and that will bring up all of those posts, because each post, although there's a YouTube video, because you could watch it on YouTube, but you don't really know what's in the video, by going on YouTube. But if you go to the blog, you'll actually see all the photos and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to make. And then you can watch that video on that post. So that's, oh, thanks, Mario. So that's what I would recommend as I quickly buzz through this. If you're like, where's the tutorial? It will be there. All right. So first thing, yes, I set up an Easter muffin tin of some of my favorites. I've covered these eggs. So we'll talk real quick about salvage rabbits and eggs, because I was actually surprised last night when I was setting this up and looking around. In my 2024 Easter live, I announced that these SKUs were retired. This is something that I did with Advantis. We did this in Idea-ology. These actually launched in 2022, and we thought we would just have them a year. And then we were very excited that they brought them back another year in 2023 and loved having them. But then in 2024, they decided not to bring them back due to slow sales. And I always, respect a brand when they're like, look, it just doesn't make sense. There's not enough sales to generate their orders. And I'm like, oh, I understand, no problem. So I made the announcement and I'm like, okay, guys, you better get it. Then last year in the live, I was like, guys, there's still salvage rabbits and eggs around, but when they're gone for good. Would you believe they're still around in a lot of retailers? So my point is, Advantis was right all along to discontinue them because they're obviously not strong sellers. But if you are an Easter maker and you like any of this stuff, I do encourage you to stock up on these, because they won't be coming back. They're not going to come back as a vault. They're not going to come back as a relaunch. I mean, I'll never say never, but I can tell you that the plan for Easter, based on this particular timeline, is not looking good for these ever to return. But what I love is that you can make so many things. And there's actually a dedicated post on salvage rabbits and eggs where I talk about making, thanks Mario, little sugared eggs. You can do little speckled eggs. They look like little Tic Tacs, don't they? Cute. Little jelly beans. Or colored eggs with alcohol ink, even mini foil wrapped eggs where they're like chocolate. I show how to do all of those. And then for the rabbits, there's so many different ways to alter these salvage rabbits. They are made of plastic resin where you can make it look like wood grain. You can make it look like chocolate, faux chocolate, where you can even wrap it in foil if you want. You can do metallic with foundry wax. You can do, that was a fun year where we went and shaved off one of those weird little garden rabbits and glued it on. Made like a little topiary. This was an inspiration from TAMI B, not the one I was talking about earlier, but again, another one. Kind of like a really cool crypt garden urn, just using urn from Halloween and crypt paste. I think this one was in 2023 where I talked about that. And then there's products from way back in the day. Idea-ology, we used to have metal gates. We have these barrels, wood slices. There's all sorts of things that could inspire you to make. And so I do recommend, if you are making, and I say this every season, just go in your craft space and purge stuff that you might want to use. It will be way more efficient. So if you have any trinkety bits that you've made up and maybe didn't use the year before, get them out. If you have any stamps, just pull some of your favorites. It doesn't have to be every one you have, but just some favorites. Obviously, Mr. Rabbit's my favorite, but there's Spring Shadows. This one's got a cute bunny. I might use him today. Don't know where this is going to go. That set has a great egg to make a speckled egg. Obviously blueprints, yes, trees, because remember, bottle brush trees make the best carrots. So I've shared how to do the carrot cards. I think we did these, I think I did them a couple years, like 2023, but then 2024 because these also have coordinating dies. So you can cut out little carrots to put on cards. But butterflies, that could be for springtime. And then we go way back to set 84. That was my first Easter kind of spring set. With Stampers Anonymous. And I love this. I love seeing all the stamps. And I love Mr. Rabbit. He's cool. I admit I wish I had a smaller version of him too, because he's kind of like the professor, right? We have him in 2 sizes, a big one and a small one. But he's a good one. But he's massive. But you'll see, it's pretty cool. So Anyway, get stamps. Dies, if you have any of the dies, it doesn't really matter what things you have. You might have rabbits, you might have eggs, you might have any other kind of Eastery thing. This is an old school one. Totally doesn't look my style, but I loved it when I saw it, and it's very cute. So anyway, my point is get stuff and just get it out. Even if you may not use it like I did for this particular demo, I may not use it, but I wanted it out because it's always going to provide that inspiration. So we'll see how much, if any, I touch of this stuff, but you never know. Okay, I'm gonna need, no, I'm just gonna set this here. Thanks, Mario. I'm so out of space because I kept grabbing stuff this morning. Mario's like, where are you going with this? I don't know yet. Okay. So some other stuff that I've talked about in previous lives for Easter. Simple stuff. I always talk about, like, look around in your surroundings. Go to the craft store. Go to the thrift store, sometimes even the dollar store. These are wooden eggs. You can find them. Easter season is the best time to buy them. They typically sell eggs year-round in a wood aisle, but they're quite expensive. But around this time of year, you can get bags of them. And what I like about wooden eggs, they're great for decor. So you can foil them. I've shown how to do the foil eggs. I think this was in 2022. These are just wooden eggs with foil. And when I say foil, I don't mean like leafing foil. I mean like just the candy foil that you can buy at the craft store. It's really thin. You can alcohol ink it. There's some of the pieces I did for those little tiny eggs. It's the same idea. You can ink the foil and then wrap it. Or if you have any kind of re-inkers or ink sprays of any kind, you could even do this with food coloring, but you can just stain them. And so I think I did this one. When did I do I think I did this one last year, actually, because we stained them and then we added some distressed microglaze to kind of seal in that color, but makes for a great decor. So if you're looking for just inspiration on that, that's really cool. I'm going to hand this off to you. Okay. Thanks. Then this one, I definitely know that this was last year because this like sparked just craziness. It's really fun. And that is, again, go to the craft store, look for things. And I found these little baskets, and they were just these little kind of wickery baskets. And we talked about painting them. Such an ode to my childhood. Well, I think everyone's childhood when you're looking at these retro baskets and going and painting all of these fun and funky colors. These great. So this is just done with alcohol ink, just putting some in a palette, taking the tiniest paintbrush you could find, and literally dipping in alcohol ink and just painting it. It's fun. It's actually relaxing. And then you can use them for different things, like Salvage Rabbit. I thought it worked out perfect. I just glued them in. There's a little styrofoam ball down there glued in. There's a chocolate one. That's done with distress embossing glaze. I think I did the chocolate rabbit. That was 2024, if you're jotting down, keeping track. But again, the blog, it'll show you a little photo of that. But even taking it one step further and wrapping it in cellophane, I just think it's really charming because this could be so many different things. This could just sit on your table and make you happy. This could go under a glass cloche. This could be all sorts of different things, but you need to do it. You need to at least have stuff. And that's where that whole compartmental making comes in, right? If you have this stuff, if you have rabbits done and have eggs done, that could just be a day where you're just doing different things to eggs: sugared eggs, speckled eggs, colored eggs, foiled eggs. These really, you may think they're tedious. They take literally seconds because you're just rolling that with your finger and you glue it on. But anyway, that was really fun. And truth be told, I almost bought another pack this year.
Yes, you did.
I almost did. And I said, oh, I better get more baskets. And Maria's like, okay. And then really, I had carried it through the store and I'm like, you know what? I think I have a pack. I have 3 packs still. See, I'm just like everyone else. It's just, you see it and you're like, ooh, I don't want to run out. What if they don't come back? Well, they did. So I'll give you that. I'm going to take these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Thanks. So there's demos for that. Let's see, other crazy things. What other kind of wild demo-y stuff? This was one year, maybe this was last year. I think last year I just talked about like doing the little clipboard and then, you know, I added a little pencil to it. But anything could be Easter is my point. If you want to make, you'll find things to make with. And that's what today is all about. Today is about reminding you that there's stuff out there. I think in our creative culture, and this is not a bad thing, it's just a different thing, that in our creative culture, we are overstimulated with creative ideas. You know, back in the day, we'd have to wait for a magazine to come out for the month, or, you know, wait for our favorite craft show, you know, on HGTV to come on just to get inspiration. And now it's like every day we're inundated with ideas. And I think that's great, But I also think it comes a time where a lot of people are consuming inspiration and not actually making anything with it. They're just watching it and saying, oh, that's good. And that's not to throw shade. Everybody has a different life and say, well, I don't have time to do it. But I think if you set a goal each season to say, I'm going to make one thing, even if it's like an Easter basket, or make one thing for Valentine's Day, or one thing for a season, it is nice to reconnect with your stuff, because I had a blast digging out all of my little bags of stuff that was already made from years past. It was good stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about stuff, and we're also going to do some demos. I don't want to knock this over. I don't know a safe place to put it yet. I think I'm going to put this here. I'm going to switch it. No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm going to just switch this out. I don't want to knock down the muffin tin, but I also don't want to get rid of it. Got to set it for a little demo time. Let's get in and do some play. All right, let's see. Here we go. We're good? Yep. Excellent. Okay. I think I'm going to start with something really, really basic. And many of you guys will roll your eyes going, oh my gosh, he's like a broken record, this guy. He's talked about it all the time. Bottle brush trees. Yes, I talked about the stamp, but I'm going to just jump around at all sorts of random things and watch the chat and see if there's anything that's like resonating with you. But yes, for years, I've talked about inking the idea-ology woodlands. These happen to be woodland alpine. They're skinnier, to make carrots, to make these bottle brush carrots, and using raffia. And through the years, I've taken the raffia out and I put on plastic things, but I gotta say, I love just this original raffia. I think it's got a wild look. So I've made the carrots, but they make me happy every year. So I'm okay with that. But I was going on the interwebs. Actually, I was just going on my own site. I was just searching for different idea-ology launches, all of that. And I came across a couple of posts. One was from TAMI B, and that post, believe it or not, was 2021. And another one was a post from Zoe Hillman from 2023. So I'm going to grab the tray.
I'll put those links up.
Thanks, Mario. I appreciate that. All right. And those posts started a whole little fun project for me last night, where I was like, I love this idea, but what else could I do? And I just went to their blogs, and like, that's where it all started. And what it was, Zoe did something with bottle brush, but at the time it was a tree, and she was sacrificing trees, and she called them buried carrots, where it was just the top of the carrot that's showing, and she did the cutest little make. So Mario's got a link to her blog so you can see that post. It was so fun, and I was like, that's really great. But as with anything, there's new things that come into the market where like you don't necessarily have to do that. So these guys, these garland that we talk about every Christmas for making wreaths and things, are the perfect solution for this, because you can cut those little pieces to whatever length you want and make your buried carrots, because they don't need to have the pointy thing, but they also can, right? So now we have the ability, I'm just going to move that little cabbage out of the way, to make the tiniest little carrots, taking something like this and making mini ones. So you could still have mini bottle brush carrots that maybe you have a salvage rabbit, or maybe it's going to be something else. And once I got into the world of mini, I'm like, I remember a post that TAMI did where she actually made the most adorable little cabbage. And I'm like, I've got to find that. And so I went, that was from 2021. And I went and followed the tutorial. Look at these little cabbage. This is just done out of paper and ink. It's mixed media stock. You'll have to go check out the tutorial. They were so easy, and I couldn't stop. I had such a blast. So then I started taking these, and I'm like, okay, now I've got cabbage and carrots, and Mario's like, what are you making with this? I'm like, I don't know yet. And then I remembered these barrels, idea-ology. And while I have used the barrels for Easter, now I've kind of moved on to baskets. I don't really do much with these barrels, and they're made out of resin. They already come with this great texture and great paint and all that. And I thought these are really cool little garden things. Now I haven't put anything on my sign yet. These happen to be the baseboard signs from Halloween. So if you have the Halloween baseboards, you have maybe wood planks, that could be signs. You've got these great little signs that you can paint on or do rub-ons or whatever. But I love the idea. So I glued on some moss, but then I also wanted some dirt, especially like when it came to the buried carrots. See? So I love that little bit of moss. So again, I started with a styrofoam ball that's glued in, that takes up the space. Then I just glued in some little green moss. But for my dirt, well, Mario to the rescue again. like, I need some dirt, but really I don't want to use dirt. Not that I don't want to use dirt, but it's like, it wasn't giving me the crumbliness that I wanted. And so he just opened the little tray in the espresso machine and he's like, how does this work for dirt? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. So these are all used coffee grounds. And now I have a jar of dirt and I just use that for using things. So I just applied a little hot glue, took out my little spoon and just dumped some dirt on there. And I actually love that even some of the dirt went inside the cabbage. That was very cool. And I also love how the dirt went on the little bit of carrots. So I'm going to talk real quick about kind of how we can make little carrots, how we can color them. But while I'm at it, I was in carrot mode. So this is what happens, I think, with most of us in the creative space, right? You get an idea, you're inspired by something someone does, and then you just start riffing. And I'm like, I love carrots. What else could I do? And Zoe's Make had a test tube. Now, these are long retired. So if you could find these, good luck. They are glass. So they are glass test tubes. Back in the day, we did them for Halloween. And I've loved them because they also make really cool, tall, skinny cloches for like a feather or like a little dried botanical. Believe it or not, they're great. You can fill them with beads or buttons. But I was like, Zoe's Make had a test tube filled with moss. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, wait a minute. What if I could just do like a little buried carrot? So that's what I did. There's my dirt down there. So see what I mean? Like how the coffee grounds they just tumble in a way that dirt doesn't, I guess. I made the little carrot. I put half of it under the cork. So I glued half of it. I glued the buried part on the top of the cork, put it on there, did my little raffia, took a little bit of string, it's a little skinny jute, and then even attached a tiny little word tag. I just went through my stash and I'm like, I love that it says happy because it's Happy Easter, but it also makes me happy. So now you have just a cute little carrot and you're like, well, what would I do with this? Well, maybe you're going to host an Easter brunch, or maybe you're going to just have some friends come over. Maybe you're going to do something in the office, or maybe you know someone that just loves Easter. This is adorable. I agree. I think it's great. It's so fun. So that's where my brain went. And so let's play with some stuff and see how we get there. Okay. You got to kind of know where it comes. And yeah, you could do coffee grounds, but you really need to get yourself a jar to put them in and just call it dirt, because I think that makes it even funnier. Look, as a true maker, the best part of what we do is organizing it. Am I right? Come on. We have it. And it's like, I absolutely need that. Dirt. Yeah, it was really great dirt. So thanks for that, Mario. Because I was going to go outside and I'm like, he goes, so do you want like sand dirt? I'm like, I want like crumbly, really dark soil dirt. And then he came with the coffee grounds. All right. So we're going to talk about the garland. Again, I've demoed the inking part of this, but I'm going to do it again. Not going to spend a ton of time because I still want to get to some stamps and stencils and just stuff. Okay, so just get a splat box. You're going to lay a paper towel in there. You're going to take this. Would you mind, Mario, real quick, just grabbing me a glove? Sorry, I thought I had one over here. No, I don't. You want a glove for this because one, we're working with orange, and ink on your skin is one thing, but orange or red ink on your skin, thanks, is going to...
I'm going to start selling jars of dirt.
There you go. Mario's going in the dirt business. All right. So I'm going to talk carrots and I will circle back and talk cabbage. Okay. So my favorite carrot recipe, if you will, these are the colors that I like. I love Spice Marmalade and Rusty Hinge in a stain. And I love Campfire for oxide. But I love my carrots a little bit on the luminous red side. If you don't like them this electric, you probably would want to stay away from Campfire, because Campfire is what's giving it like this reddish vibe. But I like that because to me in fact, I even compared them to a carrot in the refrigerator. I'm like, is this a good carrot color? I just like it. Okay, so there's no rhyme or reason as far as where you start, but typically I'll start with something dark like a little Rusty Hinge, and I'm going to spray this, and this is where the glove comes in because it's going to want to roll. And I'm just doing some sprays. Notice I'm not soaking the whole thing yet. I'm just hitting it in different spots. Okay, that's good. Then I'm going to take Spice Marmalade and just kind of fill in the blanks, right? So wherever I see that little, if I see any of that white natural sisal, I just hit that with stain. So again, not much. It should be very kind of spotty. Then we're going to take oxide. Now oxide you have to shake up because it is a fusion of dye and pigment. Spray stain you do not have to shake. There you go. Going to get that. And this is going to give it kind of that, I don't know, that orange cloudy finish. So you don't have to overdo this. I only did like maybe 4 little half sprays, if you will. So this is what we have so far. Then you're going to take this and you're going to roll it up in that same paper towel, squeeze it to take out the excess ink, open it up. Ooh, that almost went off. Any clean part of the paper towel, just use it. All this is doing is it's just kind of blotting off any excess. It's not necessarily taking the ink out, it's just blotting it off. And then you're just going to, well, I would have a second glove, but you're just going to hold on to the end of this and you're just going to kind of use your fingers and glide over it to get all of those little bristles to go in one direction, okay? Because that's what's gonna, it'll just help taper it and just gives the carrot just a better look. And just use that with your gloves. So see, that's what would happen all over your hands. You getting it? Easy enough. And then you're just gonna let this dry. Drying time of this, probably a minute. Doesn't take long because we've already went in and blot out all of that excess ink. But there's our carrot. I just think the color is just cool, fun. It's actually a little darker than that. I like it. Easy enough, so simple. Okay, yeah, that would be all over your hands probably for a couple of days. So I do love that. So again, colors, stain, marmalade and hinge, right? Oxide, campfire. If you don't have those, use what you have. You can mix any colors you want. If you want darker, you can use rusty hinge oxide. The point is, adding a little bit of oxide and ink, it just kind of softens that color and doesn't make them look so stained. It actually looks a little bit more painted. So that totally works. Are we good, Mario?
Good.
Okay. So we're gonna let that dry. So imagine it's dry because it's dry, and here's what we have. So see how these bristles they just kind of go in one direction. They're not squished, you know. They're, like I've done trees where I go in and I know, you're right, Zoe, no more sacrificing the trees, but it was brilliant that you did. She's like, I'd take Christmas trees and like, I'm just going to use the base of it. But now you can use these, which I loved it. All right, so let's say we wanted to do a carrot. We'll talk about that first. Some tools that you're going to want, a pair of scissors and preferably wire cutters, because the wire that this is made from is a steel wire. So if you cut it with your scissors, I'm not saying you can't, the scissors will cut it, but it could also ding the blade even on these. So when I know it's steel wire, I'm just going to go in and use some sort of wire cutter. So first you're just going to determine whatever length of the carrot you want. You're like, okay, I'm just going to have a carrot this long. That's it. And then based on the direction of that, you just start giving this a haircut. You ready? And I would normally be really close to the table because now this is just going to be confetti, but that's all right. You just go at an angle and you're just going to start giving it a haircut. And turn and haircut and turn and haircut and turn and haircut and turn and haircut. And before you know it, you've made a carrot. It's like, it couldn't be easier. You don't need anything super crazy special. So there you go. In fact, I remember I saw Trevor did some bottle brush carrots for his Easter make. So Trevor, now you can make bitty carrots. There you go. Look at that. So any size you want. You want it even smaller? No problem. It's the same thing. So that's where the whole miniature thing comes in. Just remember that when you're trimming this up, you just keep your fingers out of the way. And all we're doing is just angling the scissor and you're just turning it. It's actually much, much easier than you might think. Okay. And if you end up with a weird point or you have exposed wire at the end, you can always cut it. But look at that tiny little baby carrot. So cute. All right. And then you just have these little shavings. I guess you could make your own little topiary if you wanted it orange, but these will go in the trash. Simple, right? So if you're going to do a buried carrot, if you're going to go this route, like Zoe did, then all you're going to do is literally just cut it straight off. So if you have like just that little piece, it's actually enough for 2 buried carrots. We'd have one that's, oh my gosh, I could barely hold on to it. A little one coming up at the ground and that one. So that's all you need. You don't actually need to shape it. The shaped one was, you know, if you're going to make like little carrots that you want to be seen, you're going to give it that point. But if you're going to just do that, you're just cutting them. Easy, easy, right? Okay. Just going to get this stuff off of here. There we go. Let's talk about the top of the carrots and then we'll move on to the cabbage. But see, it's interesting how one simple idea can spark a whole different thing. So let's talk about the top first and then I'll get into the test tube. Okay. So where is it? I know I put it somewhere because it's a whole box of stuff. Okay, here we go. All right. In the life of any maker, I don't know how many people are with me here. Like if you've ever bought a pack of raffia, it's like one pack for life. I think I've had this pack maybe since I worked at Ben Franklin. Who knows? Like it's one of those things that just keeps going. I've tried to find colored stuff, and the pre-colored raffia, it's harder and harder to find. It's actually way more expensive. And quite honestly, it's not in great colors that I wanted. So this year, decided to color my own. So all I did, because I have this whole big container of it, and I use it for a lot of things, but I like this material because it's really great for kind of grassy things. It just has a nice organic vibe. So all I did was take some of this stuff, put it in a plastic bag. I used a couple of colors of alcohol ink. You could use whatever colors you want to use, depending on what you want. I use lettuce and meadow. Literally put some raffia in there, squeeze the ink. You don't even have to seal the bag. You just start doing this with your fingers until this stuff is colored, and you get it whatever color you want. In this case, this is the beautiful green that I ended up getting, the perfect color that I want. So your alcohol inks, again, if you're looking, because this stuff is great for not just grass, but it's cool to tie around things if you like that organic look. Some people tie it around bags or candles or all sorts of things, but just get yourself one of these, you know, packages for life, and you can tint it any color. So you can make pink or blue or whatever you want. But I'm using green for the carrot tops. Okay? Yeah, and then you try to put the lid on and it's just gonna always have stuff sticking out because that's just what it is. Okay, to make these, it's really, really simple. But what you wanna find first is you wanna find part of the raffia that's like really skinny. And I think of this as string, okay? So it's not the stuff that a lot of people like, but it makes a great piece of string. You'll see why. Then just get another piece. Doesn't really matter what it is. Doesn't matter how much it is. Okay, I mean, this is a couple of them. This is gonna be, I don't need that much. All right. Then what you're gonna wanna do is just take it and kind of crumple it in your hands and just squish it up first. Because I think if you squish it up, you could even roll it, you know, in your hands. Some of that ink is gonna rub off a little bit, but this will wash off your hands because it's actually just dry ink that's kind of rubbing off. But see, by crumpling it, you just get it to be a little more manageable, finer, easier to work with. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find the end-ish. There we go. There's an end-ish. And then you're just gonna start wrapping it around, depending on how long you want these to be. If it's gonna be for, you know, a big carrot, well then maybe you're gonna go around 3 or 4 fingers. If they're for little carrots, maybe just go around 2 fingers. And just go a couple of times, just to create enough of that grass. So I just wrapped it, took it off my fingers, cut that. Then I'm going, so now I'm holding just a little end of it. You're gonna take one of those string pieces and you're just gonna tie a knot. We're just gonna take that, you're just gonna loop it under, and you don't really wanna, don't lick it or anything. Just try to tie a bow with it, keeping that, or not a bow, but a knot. And just keep that stuff there together. Now we just tie it. And I mean, it's pretty strong stuff. It might snap, but that's okay if it does. And then we're just gonna tie it again. And I'm not bothered what gets caught where. I just wanna be able to tie a knot, okay? Right now, it just looks like a hot mess, and that's okay, it should. So once you've tied that knot, get it as tight as you can. That's what I said, this stuff might break off a little bit, that's okay. Then trim off the end, and so you have this wild bit. The short part, cut off. That's the part that's gonna go onto the carrot. This other stuff, this is like the fringe. This is like the haircut. So just cut through the loops that you did, and that's it. That's your little top of the carrot. And this you can give it a haircut again and again, but it's much easier to do the loop and then trim it than to like gather 20 of these and try to tie it together. Then all you're gonna need, so let's put a top on this little carrot right here. There's our little hat. You're gonna take some hot glue. I have a real messy glue gun for this. Put a drip, use the nozzle of the glue gun to kind of melt any strings, and then try to just take this and put this right inside that little short piece and press it down just so it stands straight up. If you get any glue on your fingers, just roll it off. It's not that hot. It's not gonna roast you. And there you go, there's the top of the carrot. And that's where you can look and say like, okay, it looks too much like a pineapple. I need to trim it, just going in there, taking out some of the stuff. You can also just use your fingers to kind of give it a little zhuzh. There you go, easy. Simple, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. So you can just build those. That's what I'm saying. You just start going kind of crazy with that. That's if you wanted regular carrots. If you're going to just do the buried carrots, well, you just do the same thing to these little short stubs. And then when you stick them in the ground, they look like they've got the whole carrot thing. And believe it or not, see, you're not even using much of anything from this piece. So that pack of garland, that's a whole garden right there, my friends. Easy. Okay, this one, the test tube idea. The test tube idea is literally taking the glass test tube. Let's see, let's do a carrot. Let's see, I'll do this one. And just kind of figure out like, okay, how long do I want that carrot to be? Okay, I'm gonna go about like that. So let's see what I mean about this raffia, my word. We're gonna just cut this, go in, trim, and I just kind of hold it away. I mean, I can hold it higher if you guys just need to see it again, but just roll it around your fingers. And just if you keep the scissors at an angle, it does make it just a lot easier because you can cut right up to that wire. Don't have to worry about it. And you can always go back, and if something looks weird, you can just trim it up. It's just a carroty shape. See, like that looks carroty, but you're like, oh, it's a little thick there. Perfect. Then we're going to need a carrot top for this. I'll actually use this little piece that I cut, the little short piece, because we're going to want a top. And then we're going to want the little fringe part. So same thing, just take some pieces, wrap it up. This is where, like, once you start doing this, you like everything is usable. Every little scrap, you're like, okay, I got to do this. I probably should have pre-made this, but hey, for those that want repetition, you're good. Okay. Zoe would have sacrificed. And you know what? I would have too, because I love that buried carrot idea. I really did. But and this idea just came to me last night, really was, because I'm like, I got to do that. I'm going to bury the carrots because I was already onto the cabbage mode. And then I'm like, well, hold on. If the top is not pointy, and then I just pulled out the garland, I'm like, there you go. So it's very cool that sometimes there's just products that come our way, obviously not for carrot reasons, but that you can use in a more efficient way for something that you like. There we go. All right. Just trim, trim, trim.
Oh, that carrot love.
Oh, carrot love. Who started that? Is that you?
I did.
You like, show the emoji love. You're so funny. Mario and Heidi love emojis. Okay. So here's what we have. We have our test tube. We have our cork. We have our little fringe on the top. We've got the carrot, and we have the buried part, the buried carrot part. And I love that Zoe called them buried carrots because like it already had its own little name. All right, we get this stuff out of the way. Just dusting it off because I don't like to work in my own mess. Okay. Here we go. Simple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to put this carrot inside of this cork. So I just use the wire that's there and just kind of twist it around just to like make a mark. You can use a craft pick, whatever you want to do to put the carrot on there. And so this is on the skinny side of the cork. So I'm just going to put some hot glue. Take that. Take our little carrot. And this is where, like, if you don't have ink sprays, really, you're missing out. Even if you're not into, you know, a lot of times people think, you know, ink sprays are like, oh, it's messy. And, you know, I don't do a lot of mixed media. I don't spray through stencils. They're so convenient for so many other reasons like this, because yes, you can use a re-inker in water and then find a sprayer to spray it on, but sometimes just the ability to spray a colorant is very, very good. Oh, Simon says has test tubes. Well, how is that? That is so old. I got to look at the year. I always struggle to find the stupid year on here, and somebody's always like, oh, it's right there. Oh, 2021. Yeah, 5 years ago. So I'm saying, like, the fact that you have them is awesome. Okay, so I've got the carrot part on the short end of the cork. Now I'm going to take the buried part and I'm going to glue that there. And again, just kind of keep the bristles going the same direction. So same thing, a little hot glue. Always circle it to melt your strings if you can. Put that little buried part and kind of really push that down because you want that to really look like it's, you know, in the ground a little bit. And you can always zhuzh it. You can always zhuzh a little fringe. We still have our wire there. That's where this is going. So now we're just going to put a little hot glue on that. There you go. You don't need much on this one. And then take that little bit of inked raffia and stick that on. So now there's our little carrot. Carrot with a little cork in the middle. But see, you won't see it. Cute. All right, I'm gonna just trim this up. I just wanna give my carrot a little bit more. I don't want it to be perfect, right? You know, I like the carrot to be a little wonky, but that felt a little fluffy. So here we go. That's what we have. And then this is our test tube. And I wanted the carrot to, because it's still gonna go in, I wanted it to kind of go into the ground, into the dirt. So next we need dirt. For your scissors, do you have to sharpen? No, you do not sharpen these. These are micro serrated blades. So they have actually a serrated blade on one edge, and these you don't sharpen. The friction self-sharpens them. If you've used your scissors to the point where they don't cut anymore, then it's new scissor time. I think in my, how many times would you say we replaced our scissors, Mara? Maybe once or twice in all the years? Yeah. But we like really use them hard, so you shouldn't need to. Dirt, here we go. Now we're getting the dirt, and we're just gonna add some dirt to this. So this is a little idea-ology spoon. This comes in the silverware pack. There's a little fork and a little knife, and obviously there's a little spoon. But the little spoon is perfect because you see I don't need a funnel or anything. I use this for glitter and all sorts of things. So there's my dirt going in. Dirt a la Mario. Thank you, Mario. Put as much dirt as you think you're gonna want in there, and then just see like, okay, yeah, the carrot's probably gonna touch that, so I'm pretty good with that. And then I'm just going to push the cork all the way in, and there is my carrot in the dirt. Oh my gosh, so cute, right? So fun. Dirt, spoon. Then to embellish it, you're just gonna take some of this jute string. You can take any kind of string you want, give it a couple of wraps, give it a little tie a knot, and if you think I'm gonna thread a little word tag during a live again, you were mistaken. That happened once. Remember that time I was trying to thread a hole through that little tag? I do remember. And we were just laughing, and people were cheering me on and telling me get a needle threader. But I did. Now I have all those things, but I still won't do it during a live because that was like way too tedious. So I just kind of slide this up, and I just slide it around like where the glass meets the cork. And then you could take one of your, any kind of embellishment you want, and you can add a tag. Now for mine, because I wanted to make it just a little bit more, I don't know, springy, I can demo that. So let's say, what do I want? What word? I don't want lost. Not lost. Let me see. I got to use my eyes so I can actually see. Oh, there's a little heart. That'd be cute. Maybe I'm going to just do a little heart. But it could be a heart. It could be a word. I was looking for found because I love that word. Oh, lucky. That's a good word. That's lucky. I'll take those. If you have any kind of distressed crayons, this could be any color. White is my go-to, but if you have like weathered wood or any of those lighter colors, tattered rose, anything, all you're gonna do is just take the crayon, rub it directly onto the metal, because this is kind of waxy, and then literally use your fingers to move that around. And this is very, very easy to manipulate. So if you don't like a color, you can literally push it out of the way. If you want less color, you can wipe it off. If you want more color, you just can scrape it on, and you just get that kind of weathered look that you like, and you're done. So much easier than, you know, the acrylic paint days where you put it on, you'd wait for it to kind of dry, but not dry all the way, and super simple. But this is something that I would do compartmentally as well. Well, I'll just sit one time and just open a whole pack and just pre-distress them so I don't have to go through steps. This is how I fill my creative void, because I think everybody has that, some people call it a creative block. I don't think it's a creative block. I just think it's a creative void. It's like, we're creative people. It's not like you can't tap into it, but just sometimes you're not really motivated to make anything. You want to do something creative, but like, you don't want to build, you just want to play. And this to me is all play. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. And that's how you get a muffin tin of stuff, because you just play. All right. Let me just clean my fingers off, because the crayon's going to come off easy. So is the ink. Just going to use a little bit of water. See, that green comes right off with water. Even though it was alcohol ink, it's just different because the ink is dry. It was just the friction of your skin on that ink. It just all comes off. So don't think it's going to stain your hands. Trust me, if I think something's going to stain your hands, I give you a warning, like we did on the glove with the carrot. Okay. How cute is that, right? So that, then we just tie in little Lucky the rabbit. They're just fun. So that's that's what I like to do, is go through stuff and just kind of reimagine how it works. So now on to the cabbage. Now, I'm not going to demo the cabbage because there really is a step-by-step tutorial on how to do it. But it is essentially taking paper. So I used mixed media. Tammy said any kind of cardstock. Again, this is on Tammy B's blog from 2021. I just used a tag because it was the kind of paper that I wanted, but something that could get very, very wet. So if you're thinking copy paper or cheap cardstock, not going to work for this one, okay? So this is where I went in. Oh, Paula just said Simon Says sells crayons individually. Well, I didn't know that. That's nice. They sell white individually? That's what I need. I keep using my set number 3 and take the white out again and again. All right, so the colors, I followed her lead. Bundled Sage, Shabby Shutters, those were the colors. And you just have a good time. You make paper, it's double-sided on the color. She'll show you how to do that. And then she'll give you all of the tricks of, it's literally like a ball of paper and then a die cut. Now, Tammy used a big flower. I wanted mine a little smaller, so I used a smaller flower, but from the same setup. It's really about kind of those little jiggity-jaggedy petals, but it was brilliant. It was a lot of fun. It was very messy, but I had a ball. And so it's hard to believe that these little heads of cabbage, which I agree, Tammy's like something about cabbage in spring. This was literally a piece of paper colored with ink. The inside of the cabbage is a square, started out as a square, and this is the outside. That's it. These two pieces of paper literally made this. Hilarious. I love it. So I couldn't stop making them. First I made one, I was like, I'll do 2, and I'm like, I gotta make a 3rd one. And then I just stopped because it was a blast. It really, really was. My favorite thing is what I was telling Mario, because I made these last night. My favorite thing was there's a step where you get everything, and then Tammy's like, now form it so it looks like a cabbage. And I'm like, what does that mean? And so all I did, like, what does it, but she has a picture there of obviously what she meant. So I just looked at the visual. I'm like, I guess that's what looks like a cabbage. And she was right. Because, you know, you start with this and it said, make it look like a cabbage. I'm like, I don't think so. But when you just look at that photo, and that's all I did, is it's almost like I zoned out on that. Before you know it, it looks like a cabbage, because I think that was the best direction, because I didn't overthink it. You didn't have a chance to. I tried to, clearly, when I said to Mario, what does a cabbage look like? And he goes, isn't there a picture? And I'm like, duh, thanks, Captain Obvious. And then there it was. So
there he is.
Yeah, it's really good. That's it. So good fun. And I think, you know, that's half of the blast of doing something creative, right? You get to just do all the plays. So these will turn into makes. I think that's the other thing, is prepping for this. Like, I am going to put this in a make. I am going to do some type of make with this. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know, a dome. So I'll talk about that real quick, because we talked about glass. I wanted to bring some other things. I'm not going to demo a lot of stuff, but I want you to know what's out there. Not an infomercial, just an opportunity to know what's there. If you're looking for quick ways to make, glass is supreme. Many makers love these glass structures, as do I. And many people don't know. I mean, a lot of people I saw were like, you had test tubes? I love glass and cork because there's so much plastic now. I love the idea of using glass for stuff. So test tubes, obviously Halloween, but we have these small little domes. So these you can fill with the eggs or jelly beans, or you could put a little head of cabbage in there if you need something bigger. So these are called mini display domes. These are small display domes. So it's a little bit bigger. So it would allow you, you know, a cabbage and maybe some carrots and maybe one of the rabbits. I think the salvage rabbit's a little too tall, but maybe you have another rabbit. The regular display dome, so this is going to be like regulation size dome. So this is going to give you a whole party. You can have a garden party, you can have a barrel in there, you know, you can, any of this stuff is going to fit in there. And you could just glue it, or if you want to change out the glass dome, don't glue it. You know, if you're not going to shake it around like a musical instrument, you can have that in there. You can put more dirt in there, or rabbits, or maybe we're going to put a head of cabbage in with our carrot. You see what I mean? Like, once you start and you have all these things, I mean, stop it right now. Like, it's so easy. It's so easy to just use the stuff that way when you have structures. And of course, my all-time favorite would be the reliquary dome. It's a whole different shape, but that's what I love about it, because it has that flat facade of glass. But this, then you have a whole lot going on. You might want to make a little hill in there, a little moat. Maybe you're going to put a little house. Who knows? You know, a little paper house. Don't know. But these are just great ways to use up trinkets, or you could use a vignette box. But there's something about the glass for these things that really show it off. Okay, so there we have it. That's just stuff. I've got a whole, guys, if you just saw, like, I just have a basket of stuff that I throw in. And Maria's like, what are you doing? Ideas. Wood slices. I love that because there are times that, oh, I'll talk about that. There are times that I do, he's just laughing at me. He's over there shaking his head. There are times that I like a dome, but I don't necessarily like the cork. Okay, so maybe I'm just going to use a little display, but I don't want the cork. I need a little bit more height. If you have any kind of wood slices, these were old school ideology for Christmas. They're long retired, but like find a wood slice and there's a base. So that's really simple. And it gives you more height because the cork is always going to take up some of the space in the height. So maybe if you need space for, let's see if the salvage rabbit fits in here without the cork. Let's see. The answer is yes. And it might fit in with the cork. I just think it's going to be, yeah, it actually fits in with the cork. But if you didn't want it to be that tight, then you could just put it over something. So there you go. Fun, just ideas. So you could find wood slices, you can find old lids, or really anything that you want. Don't always think that because it comes with a cork, you have to use the cork with it. There's so many different things. Rando stuff. Okay. How are we doing, Mario? Good? Okay, I'm having fun, you guys. I hope you are too, because I do love that. Yeah, there's a maker that loved wood slices. Vicki Evans was like, she would use wood slices and literally like tile a vignette with them. So she was very sad when they went. And I think I sent her, I don't even know how many packs when I found out they were going away. I like them. I like how thin and small. I wish the craft stores had them this thin and small. You can buy wood slices, but they're pretty much like, you know, coaster size or the thickness. You know, you think you're a lumberjack. There's so many, they're just super chunky. Okay, answered that, answered about the cabbage, answered about that. Okay, good. Let's put this stuff back. We'll move on to something else. Great, great fun. She does have a stash. I wanted to make sure that, look, I get it. When something goes away, if you like it, you stock up on it because you never know when you're going to want it. And my word, the secondary market for creative supplies, oh, that'd be cute.
Ridiculous.
Look at that. That could be cute. I wonder if this size fits. You could glue it. Well, you could glue it, but I wouldn't trust that. But this is really cute. Like inside. Okay. That's a maybe. Okay. Moving on.
Anything gone?
Yeah, I'll give you this. I'll give you this carrot tray for now. I may want some stuff back in here for the end shot when I like to load it up.
I'll keep it fresh.
Okay. Moving. I just got to clean out some stuff. Just clean it up a little bit. Okay, some other things while you're going through your stash, going down the sea of, I don't typically go to these colors often, but for spring or Easter, these are the Idea-ology velvet trims. Again, long retired, but I know there's always stores out there that have them. And if you've tried to shop for ribbons or trims in the craft store lately, they are stupid money now, which I can't even believe we ever did this as a product. I remember Paul and I wanted like velvet trim. I'm looking at the year. Again, 2021. That was a great year. That was 5 years ago that we did it. Because this, you get 7 trims, you get a yard of each. So you have 7 yards of a velvet trim. And I think these sold for, you know, back then, like maybe $7.99 or something. I mean, they were really cheap. But this is nice because these velvet trims, they can go right across a card. If you're ever looking for a great way just to put a border on a card, they wrap around the domes really well. You can create bows with them. So it was just something that I brought out going, hey, I'll talk about that for Easter because I saw them out there, but they haven't been around for years. So crazy. Okay, next, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that. Let's talk about some stamping, die cut stuff. Okay, I'm looking for my things over here. I think first thing, because I want to get into a bunch of backgrounds, but first thing I'll just talk about kind of the basics of things. If you're ever looking for stamps, so my Stamps with Stampers Anonymous, there's many, there's 500 sets, so many different designs. Simon Says Stamp years ago decided that, you know, they were going to do coordinating dies, and I say, thanks for that. That's something they took on themselves, and I think that's pretty awesome because no one was doing it. The cool thing about this, obviously you can fussy cut if you want to fussy cut, but if you have coordinating dies for anything, or even if you're going to fussy cut for anything, I just want to give you a couple of tips. Okay, for this particular one, this is Mr. Rabbit, CMS 478, that coordinating die. Cuts out the rabbit, both parts of his little coat and the bow tie. What's nice about that is you can use it many different ways. So this was a tag, I demoed this last year, where, I mean, what I love, like I mentioned, he's big. I like the scale of him, but he would be also really cute to put in smaller things. Comes with great background stuff, a lot of cool Easter stuff from vintage dies that I had, Easter egg dies, a cool little worn plaid, some dots. Just we did a quick collage tag. But the nice thing about the dies is the dies give you this ability to layer. So this was just a sample showing what it does. We've got the rabbit, there's both parts of that jacket, and then the bow tie. So I went in and stamped. I think I'll probably do a little coloring and we'll build him. I think we'll do that. But while I was at it, I'm like, there is a cool thing of why he's so big, what you can do. You can stamp him on cardstock, folded piece of cardstock. Then you take your die and you place your die. So let's say we're going to, so this was where, you know, life gives you lemons, lemonade. You have this, and I'm like, he's big. And I'm like, he's actually a pretty cool card. So I stamped it where the ears were intentionally off of the fold. Then I placed my die down. So now the blade of the ears, the top part, is off the fold as well. So it's not inside. It's actually part of that hang up. You've seen this trick a bazillion times, but maybe you haven't seen it with, like, maybe something you have. Maybe it's a big image like this. But then by going in and then cutting it, now you actually have a rabbit card. So this is, oh no, that's the wrong one. I'm like, why isn't it opening? I have too many pieces. Nope, not this one. Third time's a charm. There we go. You have a rabbit card. And the cool thing about this is it doesn't necessarily have to be a card. If you're like, I'm not going to send a rabbit card, that's ridiculous. It could also just be something where, again, you're having an Easter lunch, whatever. It could be a place card setting where you have a little note for your guest. It could be anything. Cool. It could just be something, but it's a very simple thing to do, especially if you have larger images. And if you didn't have a stamp and a coordinating die, maybe you have just a big die. It's a trick always. You fold the paper, you make sure that the blades are just past that fold because it won't cut it. You don't have to move your cutting pad. You put your cutting pad like normal. It's just when this pushes down, there's nothing that's actually cutting that fold. So there you have it. That would be...
That's so slick.
It is fun. Yeah, it's a great little thing. Because there's a lot of, I mean, because you can do this a whole other way that I learned at Sizzix. If you wanted, you could actually do a little table stamp. I might do that at Christmas. Okay, I digress. Let's go in and do some coloring, shall we? Mr. Rabbit, he is fun. Yeah, we did a monocle card. I think we shared that last year. That was pretty fun. I'm going to find the right pieces this time. There we go. There's my cut pieces. Let's set this aside for now. And let's do a little bit of coloring. So quick coloring, you can really use whatever you want. I'm going to just take some, I think I'll take some inks and oxide. I could use my minis, but guess what? They're not here. I put them away and I'm going to leave them there. Let's see, what do I want? This is oxide. So I think oxide I'll probably do a little, pistachio. I'm just going to make myself a little palette. If you have the mixed media mat, you can obviously create your own palette. This, pure happiness, right? All four sides. Never again will I worry about where they go, right side up, upside down. My word. So here I'm just pressing just to get a little bit of, just a little color. I'm going to do some oxides, but I'm also going to do ink. Okay, so you could do the same thing. I mean, you could color this with distress watercolor pencils or markers or really anything that you want. I'm just using inks because they're here. Brush corduroy. Now, when I'm creating a palette, one thing I am doing is I'm using the edge of the pad, but I'm pressing down to get ink out. So I'm not just, if I just tap, you're not going to get enough ink. You want to really press down to get some color. And depending on how much color you need. Do a little frayed. Put my browns over there. I'm going to put some pink over here. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Peeled paint. That will be a good one. And broken china. And maybe a little spiced. I don't know. That seems a little rando, so I'll put that over there. Good. Okay. So this guy's already stamped on watercolor cardstock because I'm going to watercolor him. So I knew that. So I wanted to have the right kind of paper for that. Just going to use a water brush, but you could use a paintbrush and water if you want to do that. Stamp in something waterproof, whatever your favorite is. It could be archival, it could be VersaFine, anything that says waterproof, then we can just go for it. All right. So for my water brush, just going to make sure it's ready to go. I'm just going to start picking up colors. I don't really care. Some people are overthinkers. I am not one of those, clearly. And I'm also not the best color, so I'm okay with that too. And I'm just picking up some color and just letting the brush and the ink do its thing. If I want to go into a darker color, I'll just do that. And some people might want to color first and cut later. That's fine. But again, this is kind of a compartmental thing. Sometimes you don't feel like doing anything, so just get out some stuff and have it die cut. Then when you have a stamped image, you don't have to stamp it, color it, cut it, go through all the motions. There's always workarounds. I'm going to pick a little bit of that oxide up. Just put that in. Oxide, because it's a dye and pigment, is going to give me, see, it's just going to give me a little bit more of a punch of color because you're just picking it up. You're not thinking about it. Thinking, to me, thinking is overrated. Then I'm just going to take a little light color. I'll go in here. Then I'm going to take some of that pink, just kind of go around his nose a little bit. Maybe go around here on his cheek. So I left that area open. I'm good with that. Then maybe for the jacket, I might pick up a little bit. See, maybe I want his tie blue. So let's just go there. Just going to do that. And I'm just picking this up. So each time when I'm using a water brush, this is a distress water brush. It's got a fine tip. It doesn't flood a lot of water, but I'm also not squeezing it. And I'm also not dipping it in water to clean. When I go to clean it, you'll see me just like hit the glass because that just wipes off the ink and that keeps just the right amount of moisture in the brush, because I think so many times like people are squeezing it to clean it out and then you just have so much water everywhere. I'm also just picking up the color from the very tip of the bristles because that's also going to give me that intensity, that kind of light and dark. I'll use a little stormy sky just to kind of add some of that gray to maybe his jacket. I'm sorry, his shirt. For the jacket, I was like, I'm going to the jacket next to him. My brain is telling me that. My mouth is deciding something else. All right. Just going in, adding good old peeled paint. Let's add a little bit of that cracked pistachio. That'll give it a nice little hint of mint. And again, I'll hold this up just so you can see. So see how just like throwing those colors on there, see how the oxide, because it is a dye and pigment, it sits right on top of that ink. So I often color with both mediums because it's easier that way. It's so much easier just to pick up color and then add in those highlights, because to try to add cracked pistachio in an ink on top of peeled paint, that's an ink, it wouldn't be visible because it's all translucent. So that's why you'll see like, why did you use both? Well, because it does allow me to get that variation of color without planning, without planning ahead. I think I am going to just dip into that little bit of marmalade just to kind of create just a little break, that little highlight right there. And then I'll just take some scorched just to kind of accentuate the shadows. The nice thing about like line images like this, what I love about Stampers Anonymous stamps, I love just that. I mean, it has such a cool engraving vibe where you can see all the lines, but those really, they help. They kind of help you figure it out, like under there, under his face, just those heavy lines are going to be where the shadow is or where his ear is. So that's often when I go in. I know there's people that are going to teach you totally different, and I would trust that because they probably know what they're doing. I do not. But I just figure if the lines are more concentrated, that's kind of a darker space to go. I do want some pink in his ears, but I'm going to need something a little bit more. I don't have enough kitsch there, so I'm going to throw some more on there. And I also want to do a little oxide because I know I have a lot of brown in that space. So let's just take a little saltwater taffy oxide, because now ink and oxide, the reason for that. Pick that. It's probably not the inside of his ear, but I'm okay with it. It's just going to give me pink where I want it. Little salt water hitting that. Ooh, that just really pops. See what that does? Simple, simple, simple. So that's if you were just going to be done. Now, Some people, when they build and layer, they're like, oh, if I'm going to layer it, there's no way that I'm going to go in and color all the pieces. You do you. I'll do me. And that would mean I am going to do all the coloring. But it's pretty simple. I guess that's why I'm not great at coloring, but I also don't mind doing it because it doesn't really matter to me, you know, how I do it. Smash some more ink down. And I see a lot of comments about labels. Labels are like so good. Yes. Campaigning for Scorched Timber Archival. Yeah, well, maybe one of these days Ranger will yeah. Hard to believe that it's been, what is it, like 4 years?
4 years.
4 years since we've had new colors of archival. It's like, my word, what's the wait? And not for lack of wanting it, obviously. Crazy. Yeah, so busy. All right, just throwing that on. Again, the colors. And you have to always do what makes you happy as well. You know, if you don't like all the colors or you don't like all the blends or you don't like the mess, then don't do it. Even if someone's showing you how to do it. Be like, yep, that's great. And that is the whole point of, you know, you doing you. You really just kind of sticking into what it is that you like. I really am liking that marmalade in there. I think I'll put a little brush corduroy in this one. There we go. Anything to warm it up. Okay. I'll put in your request. I see Ranger said that. Yeah. Good luck, Patty. That's been just kind of like, you know, sometimes I just think it's a little too far gone. Like, is anyone going to be like, okay, I wanted it years ago. I don't anymore. I always worry about that, you know? You do wonder. So here on the tie, I'm just dabbing that color on. Again, I don't mind that it's just a little messy. I'll use a little Stormy Sky. Okay, good deal. We're done. This, I'm going to just clean up. A little bit of water, paper towel. And you could add splatter to this. You can add speckles. I mean, anytime you do something or see something, you can always take it to whatever level. I just think that, you know, when I demo this, I really do try to, and I know I go fast because that's what I want to encourage you to do, is just go quick. You don't have to, you know, overthinking sometimes. I do think that adds a little bit of frustration because you think, my gosh, I just spent, you know, 2 hours coloring that. Now I don't want to put it on a card. I don't want to use it. So there you go. Just going to dry this. It's not super wet, but I'm going to glue it together. Well, not glue. I'm going to use foam tape. And foam tape doesn't like to stick to wet paper. I'm sure you already know that. So just going to use these little foam squares. I do love tiny foam squares. Oh, I love all foam adhesive. I'm a Simon Says foam adhesive junkie. They have thick and thin. Paula told me about thin foam adhesive a few years ago. I never knew it. But we've already talked about, even in my last live, how many bags of, see, I only brought out a sheet. I didn't bring out the bag this time. I was a little embarrassed that I showed that last time, but so many people, it resonated with you guys. We were like, yep, we have bags of adhesive too. All right, let's see which one's which. This is this. Let's put this here. That's good. Here we go. We're going to do this. Actually, before I do that, well, I am going to do this. I'm not going to say before. I'm actually going to do this because this is how I would do it. Oh, I'm going to just show you how I do it, which is probably not the best way, but it's my way. Okay, stuck that down. So see how I have like that dimension? Then I'm just going to go in and just add a little ink to the edges. So frayed burlap is a good one for this. Pumice stone, oxide could also be good. So whichever one. I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to do both. So I'll have my tiny blending tools for oxide, and then I have my tiny blending tools for ink, and they are labeled. That's how I know which is which. Just going to see which color is going to give me the best. I kind of feel it's going to be pumice stone. So let me just go into the gray, but it may not be enough. So I just want to see. Yeah, that's not enough. I might do it here just because it's soft, but I'm going to go back with frayed burlap because that's just going to give it like a little bit of a dingy color. But I need to cover up all those white edges. I don't mind a little bit of white. I don't mind the highlight, but I also want to just do the layers. And some people would say, well, why wouldn't you just ink the pieces? Because I like them to be a little offset and wonky. So that's what I'm doing. So there's my pumice stone, but now I'm going to do frayed burlap. So now I'll just go to that. So all of these are just the tiny blending tools. So see, now I can go in and they just allow me to go into the areas. I mean, you have a tiny blending tool for a reason, to get into those little spaces. So I just think it's so much easier to do it on the make, because then you can see, you know, where do you want more shadow? Where do you want it to be a little lighter? And I love that it can just go in all of the spaces. And using it, you know, like a blending tool in that flicking motion, not in a circle motion. We're just kind of flicking it off. Make sure that you're supporting the paper when you're doing it. You know, don't hold them down here and just be doing that with the ears, because you could bend an ear, be a floppy-eared rabbit. Maybe that's what you want. Okay, good deal. There's our inked rabbit. And I'm going to do one more thing, just because. Anytime I do the edges, even if it's something light, just grabbing another ink over here off camera, I just like to take a little dark. Now, just be careful with this one, because, you know, scorched timber could be really, well, really scorched. So, but I just like to take it and just hit some certain areas with just a darker hit of color. So I'm not doing every bit. But see, I just think that it like accentuates, you know, the tips of the whiskers, the bottom torn edge, that inside part. That's what I like about scorch. Scorch would be probably my newest favorite color of distress to work with as far as inking. Walnut stain used to be it, but there is just something about that. But there you have it. Simple, simple, and fun. And so you could just sit there and make rabbits. What do you do with the rabbits? I don't know. Maybe you put them on a card. Maybe you put them in a frame. Maybe you do whatever. I think for this one, I'm probably even going to splatter it with some water. Let's just do some water drops over the whole little thing. There you go. Give it a second. Dry a little bit of that. And just lift some of that off. Let's see a little. There we go. Isn't he? He's fun. Yeah, he's great. Very, very cool. Okay. Simple. Yeah, I see Paul agreed, scorched timber. It's just that color that, you know, when you just use it, it just creates that perfect pop of like this deep, intense shadow, or scorched, you know, like scorching the edges without doing it with black ink. So, all right. So far, so good. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. I just said that, and literally I took a whole chunk of something, I threw it on the floor. Heidi's been here for class. She knows that's my jam. You just throw it on the floor. All right. That's right. Okay. Let's do this one. I'm going to just do, I haven't used this ever. Ever. But it's cute. So I'm going to use it, because that's what we can do. I think I'll do the egg too. I have used this. I don't know why it looks so clean. Oh, it's not as clean as that. That's definitely a not used, but it's going to be fun. Ever. You're not alone, people. Sometimes people think like, you know, you feel alone because you just don't think that you do it. Okay, let's just do the egg first. The egg is really simple. I'm going to take a grid block. I'm going to take this one. Let's do this. This way it'll feel, just be easier for me. All right. Grid blocks are nice because they come in a lot of different sizes, but they take getting used to. It's a learning curve. This is from Bird Feather CMS 180. There's a mini version of this as well, but it's a cool stamp because you can create a speckled egg. It's pretty simple. So let's take ink. I'm going to grab Scorched, and we'll take, I think I'm going to take Stormy Sky. Could be Salvage Patina. Can you say that number, please? Everyone's asking. What, Funny Farm? Yeah. Funny Farm is CMS 361. Thanks. You know, the thing that I really have liked about, like I mentioned that with the Sizzix die about the bunnies, although there are things that I'm definitely a vintage, grungy lover of that, but but cute has its place. And sometimes there's certain art that just resonates with me. And this was hilarious because I just loved all the little puns that I put with them. You could cut these off if you didn't want, you know, Good Cluck or Hoppy Day or What's Moo. It's so funny though. Thank you. I mean, come on. That's hilarious. Perfect for a spring card, right? It's like, I love it. And so I've never let that hold me back. And I think that's also really good. All right, I'm going in with some oxide. There's going to be some Stormy Sky. I'm also just going to give this just a little mist of water, just off screen. See, just a little bit, just because I want it to oxidize a little bit. I'm just going to do on craft just to show you, but this could be on any kind of cardstock. Okay, but that's going to give it that oxidized kind of chalky finish. I'm going to take, well, my towel. I don't know what I do. Oh, I hung it up over there because I was demoing 5 minutes before live when I'm not supposed to. Prepping new things. Okay.
Bam.
Thanks, Mario.
You're welcome.
Ooh. I was about to have a tantrum. Yeah, see, I'm like a 5-year-old without my inky binky. I'm like, where's my blanket? I can't work. Okay. First layer, done. Now, depending on how much water, let's just dry it. Because, you know, if you sprayed your stamp heavy, you're going to want that. Then we're going to take the other part of the stamp, and this could be archival. This could be whatever it is. This is going to grunge up most of it because I'm going to go in with scorched timber. But this stamp is meant, like, if you see how it's designed, see how it's got, I mean, that's a cool thing about red rubber. You see all that little nuggety bit? That's all texture. That's all kind of like halftone shading, which is what I love about that. And you just kind of, you know, I prefer to kind of go a little off register, but you do you. Just going to give it a little stamp. And now you have a speckled egg. And if you didn't want it off register, line it up because the die line for these are the same. Like if you put it over there, it would cover it up. But it's just a cool way to make a speckled egg oxide ink, especially on craft. But it could be any of those things. So, all right, just going to spray that. Just kind of clean that off now. Okay, easy enough. Easy enough. Speckled egg. Let's get to this little silly thing. We're going to do Hoppy Day just because I'm going to put it on this block. This is my reality. If it fits on a block, it's the block I'm using. Even if it's going to be weird to stamp.
You don't care.
No. You know, when I talked about the bag of adhesives I have pretty much that many grid blocks in the drawer. I probably have 3 sets open because I've always, like, I look for a size and I can't, so I'll open another pack. And I know that that's, but I'll use them all. So I can't really say that that's wasteful. Oh, did I put enough ink on there? Let's just double check. I just want to make sure. Okay. Stamp with purpose, little wiggle, distress watercolor, cute. I'm going to cut this, so don't worry that it's not straight. This is just a piece of paper that I took out. All right, clean the stamp, put it back. Look, now it's used. I've used that set. Maybe not in its entirety, but I've used it.
My new line. I love that.
What?
I haven't used that in ever.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you never know till you look, right? Okay, then let's do the same thing. I'm going to do a little pink here. And I do find myself changing my palette a lot. So I don't always keep all my inks out. I always like, if I'm doing kind of a new thing, I'll change it a little bit. So I'm going to pinks. I'm going to do a little speckled egg because speckled egg is a really interesting color in the world of distress. It's the lightest of the blues, but it has some really wonderful undertones to it. So I often like to use it if I don't want it to be gray. Okay, let's go back to our brush. I'm going to clean this. So now I'm going to clean it just by, you know, working some water in, working on my hand. I just don't like to clean it on a paper towel. And then let's go in. We're going to start with some speckled egg. Just going to add some of that. Just move that around. Then I'll probably take some pumice. Take just a little bit of frayed. I don't want much, but I just want to add a little bit of dirty into this. So a little frayed in with that speckled egg is going to be perfect. Then I'm going to take pumice and just create that little shadow. Then I'll take some pink. That's a little kitsch. Ooh, it's a cold day. There you go, a little pink there. Take a little salt water. Can soften that. And then anytime you don't want color, you can always add a, because I don't want that much color on his face. I'm just going to wet it and then just touch it with a paper towel. That just lifts a little bit of the color. That's it. He's done. Probably want to go in with just a little bit more brown just to give him a little bit more of a darkness. Okay. Now let's see. Let's take this. want to splatter it a little bit. Okay. What do I want to use? I'm going to get in here and, well, if I can open my tin. Sweet mother of glory. All right. Kitsch will be nice. Why not do a little pink? We can do a little pink. What is Tattered Rose? Is that softer? Oh, that's a little softer. Nah, I'll stick with pink. Shakety shake. All right. Just want to mix that up. I'm going to get rid of this. Clean that. All right. Then I'm going to make a very intense mask. There we go. Let's see. Those are his ears. That's his bottom. There we go. Perfect. And I'm just going to take spritz, but I'm not really going to spritz. I'm just going to use the schnozzle and my finger, and I'm just going to tap. Just to create just some little speckly flecklies. Because again, if this was going to be a card, we could ink the edges, we could do all of those things. Take this, remove the mask. There we go. Mask is gone. And dry it. All right. Okay. So yes, we could do all the inking. We can do all sorts of different things. Yes. Okay. You know what this is missing? I do. See? This is only justification of me using it.
We did 10,000.
Look, this was one purchase. This was when I was looking for a color of little pom-poms. I'm like, what color do I want? Also, see, it could be a pink bunny tail, but there's something about, I just like this color. So I'm going with, it could be that. Yeah, this was one of those crazy Amazon purchases where it's like all of this was cheaper than one pack of pom-poms at the craft store. You know, you feel it like, yeah, it's a bunny tail. Like maybe I want gray, but I just think that pop of color is hilarious. So yeah, let's open them. And they all come already separated, so you don't even have to separate it by color. Will I ever use these? This was when I was when I did the party hats. Remember that for Halloween? I'm like, because I just wanted like orange and black pom-poms, and just going to the craft store, I'm like, you're crazy. I'm not doing that. And then I found this, so I'll never need them again. And I have them, and there's some really cool colors, right? They're not all standard. There's some cool midtones. So see, justification of the poms right there. It's like, why do you have all those pom-poms? Well, because look who's talking now. Don't need it. All right, little hot glue right there on the tail. Boom. Hold that, get rid of that little glue string. Oh my gosh, come on. Let's just move it up out of the way. Hilarious. It's just funny. So there you go. Joyful. I've used it now. Happiness. That's what it's all about. Okay, moving right along. There's all sorts of different things that are important to remember as a maker. You have to go through your stash. You have to reacquaint yourself with things that you have. And if that just means flipping through a bin, great. It might pull something out and go, you know what? I haven't used it, like that set. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but that's hilarious. And I love that I have pom-poms. If you have butterflies, get those out. Those are really great. We can do all sorts of backgrounds. Speaking of backgrounds, let's work on some of that. Let's see, where are we on time? Oh, wow, not too bad. Okay, there is something about backgrounds, and I talk about that a lot. I love creating backgrounds that I just save. I talk about this a lot. Just save your stuff. It doesn't mean you have to use it. I say that. It doesn't. You just have things. But background stamps are great to play with, and especially something about the spring, summer months. It does allow you to break out things that maybe aren't totally seasonal, right? That is just something that you want to create with. And so I went through, and again, these are stamps that are more, I'll say doodly, not so grungy, but how perfect are these for spring? Let's see if I've used them. Ooh, 2 out of 1, or 2 out of 3 I used. I didn't use this one. Let's use that one. That seems fun, right? They're doodly. This, of course, you know, more my jam, you could tell, a little bit more texture, florals, yes. But it's very easy to just sit and create a bunch of backgrounds. So let's just do that. Let's just add some things. I'm just going to get some some cardstock. Watercolor, it could be mixed media, it could be craft, it could be anything that you want it to be. So we'll start with something like, let's just say we want to just do a rock one. Haven't used that. Take a block. Oh, that seems pretty good. And just put that on the block. It could be a stamp position. It could be whatever you have. Okay. And let's just use this. Now I'm going to use inks again. So let's go into, Speckled is making a return. But you know what? Actually, I want that to be a little messier. Changing, you could use ink. So if you have it, please use what you have. I'm going to just use some sprays. I probably don't have many colors though. So I think I'll use frayed in oxide. What is this one? Tumbled? No, that's not tumbled. The sticker came off. See, now I don't even, oh, old paper. The stickers on these little roundy things, it's a challenge. I'll go with that. Ooh, let's do, yeah, no. Indecisive, Holtz. Okay, then I'm going to use these inks too. Little brush corduroy. We're going to use some speckled eggs. I definitely wanted some blue. Then I'm going to use some old paper. Old paper has that wonderful greenish vibe. So if you're like, this looks kind of green, then it is correct. Okay, shakety shake. Where's a little ball bearing in this sucker? I don't hear it. It must be stuck in the mud. That's okay. Frayed burlap is a crazy oxide color. It's a lot of fun. Huh? No, I'm just gonna use it. I'm not waiting. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to take that, press my stamp into the sludge, and stamp it. Dry it. How'd you do, Mario? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you get it? Okay, so let's talk about different ways that we can do texture and background. So stamping, watercolor, that's just simple. So that's one way that you can actually just create a background. You can stamp like that. And we can do other things to it. Obviously, if we were to get it wet again, like now if we just wet what we stamped, we can get that to wick. So it'll kind of soften the lines. I think it disturbs the image itself. I mean, you might like the look of it where it just looks more crackled or broken, but I don't know. I just think that that's a bit disturbing. But if you don't like something, then you can use your background just to pick up some color. So let's do that. We'll stamp that again. Just showing you, there's just many ways to use your stuff. What's interesting is the stamp is actually there. I'll hold this up and show you. Because you know when you're like, oh, it looks blurry. What's crazy is when you add stuff, see how that image is like kind of crystal clear into that color. And I'm adding water. The more water you add, obviously, the more you'll see that image below. And the more you dry it in between, the more you're going to get little marks and striations. If you don't like that, just wipe them out, right? If you want to create little speckles, I'll show you that. You can't really create speckles on glass very well. You need a mat for that, so I'll grab that and just show you. All right. I really hosed this one. Come on. I just want it dry enough that I can just go in and stamp again. Okay. That's good enough. So let me just take this, just give myself a clear spot. We'll go back to that same stamp, but because I know that it has ink and oxide, I just want to give it a quick wipe down because you don't want to get oxide on your other ink pads. That's the only thing. Okay. Now I'm just going to go with archival. Yes, it would be nice if this big archival was scorched timber. It is not. Does it have to be archival? Nah, it doesn't, but I'm just going to use it because then I can just put something else on it if I wanted to. All right, a little stone. But now let's go in and add some stuff to it. Oh, let's not do that. Let's actually create those little speckles I was telling you about. So for that, I'm going to need just a piece of, just as the craft mat. So this is the replacement craft mat for the media mat, but you can just buy those separate and you can use it if you have the studio mat, you can. The reason is you can see how ink just does that. And this is a great, this is such a great mix. I just want to go in and keep, like now I even want to take a piece of craft and just see what I'm going to get. Because it has some of that oxide in there. It's just going to do some cool, I know it's going to do some cool stuff. I know to a lot of people it's like sludge, and it may be, but sludge could also just be your friend if you're making background paper. Especially with, like, anytime that you have frayed burlap oxide, it is that one kind of crazy chameleon color. Ooh. That's nice. I'm gonna get through the mess. I have a fun little Easter thing at the end. It's fun, huh? I saved the best for last. Yeah, it's a crazy one. We'll get there. We'll get there. We're just playing right now. We're just playing. Okay. So if we wanted to create something speckly, this is a great visualization. This is not, because this crooked mat is gonna give me an aneurysm. Like, it is. There we go. Okay. Mario already knows it. I can't help it. I'd like to say that I can just deal with it, but I can't. So, all right. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do spray. Oh, let's shake this one up and let's see what other colors I have. Ooh, that'd be good. Salvage and cracked. That would look really good on here. Okay. Actually, oh, hey. Clean. It's nice that the labels clean off. Labels. So we got salvaged, cracked patina, cracked pistachio, sweet mother of glory. I'm reading and talking and my brain is just, it's crazy today. All right, a little water. So here's the difference. So see, when you add water to glass and ink, everything just likes to pool together. And that could be okay for certain things. Obviously that's what I was kind of going for a sludgy background or when I was inking it. But once you put ink and water on a craft sheet, you can move it around and it will keep its droplet form. And that's very cool when you want to add like little splatters or speckles to a background. See? Oh gosh. My word.
So much fun watching you.
It's too many jelly beans. That's it. Too many of those jelly beans. Okay. And I'm just going to dry this. But see, that look is achieved from a different surface that you put your inks on. And that's important to know because a lot of times, you know, I agree, glass mats are a great surface to work on. But if you don't have a craft sheet of some kind, that's going to be a problem if you ever are trying to layer inks like this, even a spray, because it's always going to turn into this sludge puddle and you're going to be like, I'm not getting those little splattery layers like they're getting. But this will always, doesn't matter how many times you go into to do that, it's always going to have that effect and just allow you to keep layering color on top of that. Pretty cool. There you go. I just saw a question. My craft mat soaks up. I'm not sure if it's this one. Spray stains. If you add a lot of spray stain to this, it will go in between the little fibers because this is actually fabric. So this is a Teflon fabric and this has a silicone backing, and so that's where the color kind of soaks in. But it shouldn't always do that. Like it shouldn't soak into where it disappears. If you mean soak in by staining, then yes. But if you have a mat, I've never experienced that. But if you had a mat where whatever you put on just gets absorbed in, it may not be the right mat, would be my only guess. All right, so see, those colors just made this background, in my opinion, a little bit more springy. This could be something, a great garden background. We could ink blend, we can do all sorts of things. But often when you have sludge, remember that if you want a colorant to sit on top of a background, you're going to want to go with oxide, because whether it's going to be an oxide spray or an oxide ink, because that pigment is going to dominate the dye. It will sit on top of it. So that, to me, that makes it fun. There's another background that's just going to be sludge. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'll do something with it. All right, let's clean this up. This just water. Take your towel or whatever you have and just clean this off. That was a good visualization on what makes it different, right? I want to just use this stamp. This stamp looks fun, doesn't it? Well, I haven't used it. In ever. Because, as I said, there were so many years of my career were designing faster than you could possibly make with. That's the truth. And it's nice that it's kind of come down to a balance. There's still a lot of stuff coming out this year. A lot of stuff. All right, let's see. What color? Let's just do something bold and wild, shall we? Do something colorful. Do something kind of even rainbowy. Woo, that's pretty crazy. Okay. Okay, next we're going to just add some, this is Distress ink. Could be oxide if you want. Ink is definitely going to give us more of a punchier vibe. So I'm not worrying about contaminating. You won't contaminate. I tend to work light to dark, so I've gone there, and now I'm going to go to a blue. I am overlapping some of the colors because obviously, you know, yellow and blue are going to make green, and blue and pink are going to make some purple. So I probably don't even need purple. So maybe I won't, because I think I'm going to get some. But I will probably throw in a little bit of citrus. You know what? I don't want it to feel bad. There we go. That's pretty colorful. Colorful little strings. I see a spot that doesn't have anything, so I'm going to go back in with a little bit of mustard seed. There we go. Okay, here's what we have. Bunch of different colors on that stamp. I'm going to take a piece of watercolor. Let's just move that off to the side for now. Okay. Smooth side of watercolor paper, stamp. And we're going to spray it. So I'm just going to go off so I don't hose down the work area, but I'll show you. That was like 6 sprays from the Distress sprayer. I'm looking for droplets. So see how like I've got droplets on there? That's what I want. There you go. Probably like 3 more. So you see how you can see the droplets? So it's not like pouring off. If you have a spout of water coming off of your stamp block, that's too much water. But you want that. You want that look of mixed color, because that's what it's going to do. Then we're just going to flip this over, kind of get a good alignment. This is going to be a fun, colorful, scribbly background. There we go. Delightful. And I'm just going to dry it. So could you have just stamped it? Yes, you absolutely could. You could just take that and you could stamp it. What do you wash stamps with afterwards? I just use water. So like this I just used. So to clean the stamp, I'm going to just spray it with water and I'm going to wipe it off with a cloth. This just happens to be a cotton cloth, but you could use whatever, microfiber, whatever you want to touch, and it's clean. If you use permanent ink, archival, anything, I just use the cloth itself. Now I know some people love stamp cleaner, and if you use stamp cleaner, you can, but I recommend that if you use stamp cleaner, then you clean the cleaner off of your stamp. Because stamp cleaners leave behind oils and conditioners that often interfere with ink when you go to stamp with them. So like this is a clean stamp. So I used it with archival, but it's not coming off. There's no ink that comes off because a waterproof ink will dry on your stamp. And to me, I like that because it kind of primes the stamp. Take a look at this background.
Wow, that's
Isn't that awesome? Scribbly. But see, I like that it got like a little electric charge. That's from the watercolor. But if you didn't want that and you just wanted more of a clean string line, then you just do that, but you don't add water. But I love that. That's a fun background. So we'll use it for something sometime. Okay, let's move on. Let's do an embossing folder background, and then we'll get on to some more Easter decor fun. I could just really play with stamps for days, but it's about like all of those techniques, like really just a quick wood grain, ink it, spray it with water, stamp it, beautiful wood grain, great plaid. I love that. So lumberjack is a plaid. This one is scribbles and spirals. See, could have been like doodles. This big one, this is fun. Dots and circles, very original. Yeah, there you go. Okay, stack of stuff. Let's move some of these out of the way. And next up, let me get that embossing folder. I don't know where it is. I'll start with, oh, it's embarrassing. Okay. My name is Tim, and I have a problem with embossed backgrounds. And I don't know why. I just love to emboss backgrounds and do absolutely nothing with them, but it won't stop me from embossing backgrounds and inking and painting and like, but when I need it, I have it. Oh, this is a good one. I know already. Look at that one. That was done with spritz. Ooh-wee. I just love it. I love to make, this is all paper, like this metal. That's craft stock. My gosh. Anyway, so yes, I have an entire basket devoted to just backgrounds because that is the easiest thing to do when you just don't feel like doing anything. But now whenever I need a background, like look at that stone background. That is going to be perfect on a vignette. I don't have to do it. Oh, this is one I want to show you. This isn't a very good one though. This looks plain to me. Let's talk about that one. That was the folder I actually took out because it's a good one. It's been discontinued, but I think there's stock available. It's going to be good for this sludgy background too. We might do something else with it. Okay, it is. Now I always get them mixed up, so I brought both of them because every time I demo them, one is intertwined. No, right? No. Now I don't even know what one of them. One is woven, and one I think is called intertwine. I think this is woven. Someone's going to know, okay? But they're both really good. So actually, I think I'll use this one on this. So both of these are retired. So if you find them, and if you know the proper names, thank you. But if you find them, they're just cool ones to have, and I'll show you, especially for spring, because we're looking at like, you know, baskets and burlap and linen and all of the fun things that we can do.
Is there something in the left corner?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, Ellison.
You used to put the names on them?
It's on the packaging,
which
doesn't help when I've taken it out of the packaging. Yeah, I'm going to put that over here. Just going to grab my Sizzix machine. Sorry. I know somebody. You can go to the index and find it. Oh, there we go. Sarah said the basket is intertwined. That's this one. Intertwined.
Thanks, Sarah.
What a dumb name that is, huh? I should have called it basket. That would have been easier, wouldn't it? And then this is woven. Okay, well, this kind of is. You'll see. This folder I did, it looks simple, but my gosh, it was a nightmare to create because I wanted to try to replicate, you know, that linen look on cardstock. So we wanted to create texture, but obviously you have such a small space to work in, but I didn't just want it to look like graph paper. So it was a cool folder. All right, just take out, get my little big shot, put my handle in. All right, I'm embossing. So 1 and 1. Don't need these. Okay, so let's do this. This is thick. This is a 130-pound cover, but let's see how this folder does. I'm gonna just mist the back of this with water just to help soften the fibers. Let's see what we get. I also think what I wanna do is I'm gonna ink this folder because I'm gonna do that to the other one too. Let's use some scorched. I'm just swiping this on that raised side, the side that's going to go onto the paper. I'll place that here. Hey, easy. Hold that down. Okay. Let's see how we do. A machine on camera. Okay. First thing, always try to put your folder at whatever angle you can while still keeping it on your platform. It's just going to emboss better. Then we're just going to go in. Once it grabs, put your hand on the machine. Just going to crank it through. Boom. You can try a couple of passes. This machine is pretty tough, so it doesn't really need it. But take a look at that background.
Man,
what the heck?
What a difference.
I know, crazy, right? But just the plain side is also really cool. So that is what was neat about this. It's so intense because I inked it, so it pushes the ink inside. So all of those little pits, that's where you see scorched timber. Whereas on this side, you're just seeing the paper. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, it's really, so there you go. Like instant, I mean, this just looks like burlap fabric, but
so cool.
I know, it was a good one. But see, it didn't sell, so it was retired because people didn't get it. You know, they look and they're like, that's yucky. Then I'm just spraying this with water. I'm gonna use a cloth first, and then this is just what I do for my folders that I ink, because I do ink a lot of folders. But then I'm just going to take a paper towel. And I'm you can do 2-ply, but I just do 1-ply, that's fine. These are 3D folders. So this is a 3D folder.
That paper towel trick is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, the paper towel it helps get any ink out of, and it also makes a cool paper towel if you want to collage with it, but it just makes sure like any little hidden bits of ink, because then if you want to do embossed white, you don't want that little surprise, do you? No. Okay, now let's do this one. This is a good one. This one I think I'll do on white. Why not? Let's see. Let's actually we're going to do white. I'm going to do white heavy stock. Why not? Well, because I don't want to. I'm going to do this. I don't have a piece big enough already cut, and that's okay. So here's what I want to do on this. I'm going to ink this one as well. So this one, I'm going to do a little bit of Stormy Sky. Now this folder, what is this one? Intertwine, is very prickly. Can you see the detail of this one? This one's a monster, I'll admit. And I wouldn't sacrifice it. And maybe that's why this got retired as well, because if you have thin paper, it'll just pulverize the paper. It'll literally punch holes through it. But if you use heavier paper and you're okay with it, oh man, I used oxide first. Snapdragon. I never want to put ink on something that you've applied oxide, because it will contaminate that ink pad. But it was only on the raised areas, so now I'm just going to do the others. I'll go back. Anyway, you just use thicker paper and just make sure that you wet it. But to me, I think that the detail this gets, my word, it's so good. Okay, a little ink. And we're going to add a little bit of Stormy Sky. Not much happening right now. Find my paper. I'm going to emboss this piece of watercolor cardstock, but again, it could be whatever. I'm going to just wet the back side. The reason I don't want to do both sides is I don't want the ink to bleed too much. It could, and I could lightly mist it. Let's see what happens. It's going to bleed just a little bit, but it also helps it lay flatter. All right. Okay, I'm just going to take that, place it down. Ooh. And again, angle it if you can. You'll see if you're able to start doing that, then you don't hit that speed bump going through your machine, which makes, using folders really hard. It kind of bites here, and I think it also just gives it a better embossing, and it just makes it easier. So again, we're just going to take a pass. Look at that.
Holy moly.
Isn't that cool? And we're going to ink over it. We're going to ink blend. But isn't that just wild?
That's really awesome.
It's so good. So that just pushed in that dark color and that little bit of Stormy Sky. It could have been any kind of blue or gray. It just helps soften it when it feathers out. That's why I did both colors. You don't have to. Same thing. Water on the inside. It could be the same paper towel, doesn't matter. And we're just going to clean it. But I always clean my folders afterwards because the color of the folder, you just can't see that there's ink there. And there's nothing more frustrating than like taking a nice piece of crisp cardstock and then it's just horrible. Look at that though. Look at that paper towel.
That is fancy.
It is. Isn't that crazy though? Oh, wild. So yes, both are retired. If I would suggest looking for them, I saw, saying, can we still buy them? You can buy them from anyone that still has them, yes, but they've been discontinued for a while. But it doesn't stop me from showing them because, this isn't an infomercial. This is just to show people that maybe you did buy it and you're like, oh, great, now I know what to use it for. There you have it.
I saw a lot of people said they did have them, and someone said they were making a card with one right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a great one. All right, let's put this stuff back. I do love this. I'm going to push the button and take off the handle. I'm going to take my whole sandwich, shove it in the machine because then it just stays. And my cutting pads are with the machine. There you go. It's like perfection. Thanks, Mario.
You're welcome.
Okay. So then this one, if I was going to ink it, you could just use, well, you can kind of use whatever you want. I'm going to just use some brushes, but again, use whatever you have, whatever you want. I'm going to take a little, I think I'll do some frayed burlap, brush corduroy, and scorched timber. I would probably use regulation size brushes, but I happen to have these detail ones, so I'm just gonna, well, Mario, would you mind? I can't.
Sure.
In the top wire drawer, there's a couple of large blending brushes. I was totally gonna use it, but I'm not. It's not the right tool. That next one over towards me. That one, yeah. See the big ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Any of them?
That'd be like hammering in a nail with a screwdriver. You just can't. Okay, there we have it. That's more the size. Perfect. Okay. Can you emboss grunge board with 3D folders? Oh, I would say absolutely not. I would not even attempt that one. And
Way too thick.
I'm adventurous. Yeah, it's way too thick. And even grunge paper, I wouldn't try to emboss grunge, not with a folder. I mean, if it was a machine you didn't care if it broke, and if it was a folder you didn't care that it snapped, then you could try it, but I wouldn't.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
I wouldn't recommend it, no. You know, it's just something I like to try all sorts of things, but that's just one that grunge was its own beast. That's why, in the early days, grunge came, pre-embossed, because even with folders out, there wasn't much. All right, so I'm just adding some color to some of those browns. And then, once I look at it, I decide, ooh, what do I want? I really love that kind of caramely honey color. That's brushed corduroy. So I'm just going to go in and accent that. But I think using all the different colors, that's where you get undertones. You get all those looks from just the different colors. And if you have a blending brush, like I love that, a blending brush, because these are not synthetic, these are natural fibers, boar's hair, you can just go right from ink there without that hard spot. But I also like that I can really compact these bristles and just kind of isolate some of that color. Okay, I'm liking this. And then I think I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of spray. Hold on. Let's shine it up. Then we'll move on to a final demo. You could shine it up with whatever you want. You could use spritz, you can use whatever. I do love resist spray. Resist spray is meant for resist, but think of it as like sprayable glossy accents. So I always clean out my nozzle, and it has water in it when it's stored. So I'm not really wasting the resist spray. It's pretty much water that's still in the tube, but that's how I store mine, and it has never clogged again. Because this stuff is notorious for clogging, my word. Okay, wipe that off. And so what I do after the demo is I'll take this out, I'll put it in the sink, and I'll literally spray water through it, put it right back in the bottle with the water in it, and I put the cap on with water in it, and it like keeps a little moisture chamber. That's what totally works for resist spray. It's a hassle, but not as much of a hassle as doing a new sprayer every time. The other thing to note about resist spray is, even if you're like, oh, I don't care, I don't need a splat box, resist spray will even dry on glass, and you have to scrape it off with the razor blade. So just keep that in mind, okay? So you can let this air dry. I'm just going to dry it with a heat tool just to speed up the process. So clearly, because we use distress ink, that moisture from resist spray already reacted that ink, so it blended it even more beautifully. The resist spray is going to give this a shine, but I'm also able to ink over the top of it. So you can do a lot of cool things with this. I'm holding it up so the moisture could pass through the paper, because resist spray, I mean, you saw how much I put on there, but it dries. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It reminds me of like a liquid glossy accents, but it's also like a liquid clear embossing powder. It's just cool. So once this is dry, and if you touch it and it's not wet, it's dry, because it doesn't look any different. It still looks pretty shiny. I'm just going to take, again, a little bit of ink, just going to kind of go direct, just to add that extra little depth, because distress ink will dry on resist spray. All right, and then there's our background. But see, now it's got that cool kind of wickery glaze finish. You could leave it unfinished if you want, but I love that. It's absolutely, and it just has such a great feel. So now, like, you could cut this out something, you could put it on a card. I also love how this stuff tears. Okay, don't freak your freak, but it rips really well. Like, you can just go in and like just tear this edge, and it creates like a cool little broken basket weave, because you can even go in and chip out some of these pieces. But that's how I've used it on a card before as well. is just tear that edge and then, you know, going with a little scorched. But like that could just go on the side of a card or layered on, you know, a pattern paper, whatever. Just fun. So there you go. Okay, moving on. That's a fun one. Doing okay, Mario?
Doing great.
Okay, I'm just clearing the deck. I'm good. Just going to finish up. I got one more little Easter thing because, well, it's what I do every season, and Mario is right there for the joy. Anytime, this is true, anytime that I announce a live, well, I mean, I've done it every year, but I don't know how much longer it's going to go. But anytime I've announced a live, it's like, okay, I want to take a trip to the craft store and the dollar store to see if there is some, it's almost like Iron Chef, some random object that I can see potential in. We did that for Christmas, for sure, right? We did a lot of cool stuff at Christmas with those lanterns, and just, I like to see, I don't know. I think it just keeps my creativity sharp, right? They say creativity, it's like a muscle, you got to use it. And it just allows me to think about other things. Now, whenever I'm creating or working through a live, I just like to go into buckets of things that I have or go through swatches. And it helps me remind myself and hopefully remind you of things that you might have in the toolbox that you kind of forget about. First thing would be like paste. If you're a paste collector, like Twinkle and Sparkle. Now, Twinkle came out last year, I think, for the season. And these pastes are available. They're everyday paste. But this is a translucent paste with flecks of glitter. Twinkle is an iridescent holographic glitter, and Sparkle has metallic glitter in it. The thing to remember, especially like for Easter, spring, summer, 4th of July, whatever, get out your paste. And although they're great as they are, so this is Sparkle, so you can see that metallic sparkle of glitter, okay? And this is Twinkle. Twinkle doesn't like to show up on camera. It's very shy, but it has, you can see that little iridescent glitter in there. But all of these pastes are tintable with re-inkers. So when you're doing stuff, like I said, for spring, and you maybe have a stencil and you want to do sunshine, or even if you want to paint with it, this is going to go on like a gloss. So you can actually mix up a little paste with re-inker. You can take a paintbrush and you can paint a stamped image. You can paint, you can highlight over your embossing folders. It stays totally flexible. You can see that the thinner it is, the more translucent. But it's really nice to have all of these colors of paste available. You could die cut this. So you could actually create a background and then die cut this. So if you wanted your, say, flowers to have that little texture, or you could die cut the flowers and then apply it first, whichever you wanted. But I just love the look of this. So this one is Twinkle. This is one that has all of that great translucent glitter, but you could do the same with Sparkle. Sparkle is just going to give you a different look because it's more metallic. So when the light doesn't hit it, it looks more like pepper, and this one looks more like salt, right? This one you can't see, this one you can. But it's just a good idea to remind yourself of like, hey, I have that. And you can just mix up a little batch. It's very, very simple to do. You just take a palette knife, a re-inker, a little paste. If you have, you can do it on a craft sheet. You can do it on a piece of wax paper. You can do it directly on the glass. Doesn't matter. I'll just do it there for now. But it's pretty simple. Let's see which one I can open. Oh, this one's good. See, look at that. There's hardly anything in there, but that rubber band saved it. Crazy. All right. I don't need to do much because I'm just going to throw this away, but you get the idea. Just to show you, just to mix it. All right. Okay. Put that back on, and that goes right over the seam. Doesn't help if you don't put it over the seam. Re-inker. Re-inker really of any kind. Could you use alcohol ink? I find that alcohol ink makes a lot of paste kind of clot. So I would try to stick with something water-based. So that could be like, this happens to be Distress. But you could also try an oxide re-inker. You could even do paint. Paint is going to make it opaque instead of translucent. So will oxide. So that's why I chose Distress ink. But it could be food coloring. It could be a lot of stuff. And then just take a palette knife and you just mix it up. And all you do is just kind of spread it out. Just get it to whatever color you want. You could even use an ink pad. If you didn't have a re-inker, could you squish some ink on there from an ink pad? Heck yeah. So you don't have to use the re-inker. The re-inker is just more concentrated. So, and then if this was, you know, through a stencil or whatever, you just spread it on and let it dry, and then the glitter comes out. But That's a simple thing to do. So look at your stencils. Look at your stencils that you may want to do backgrounds. Maybe you want to do like a spring plaid or bubbles or I don't know, all sorts of things. You know, there's all sorts of different springy, you know, maybe it's going to be honeycomb. Maybe you want to do argyle, right? That's very Eastery. Argyle or plaids. This bubble one would be fun with that paste. Really cool. So just think of all of those different stencils that you can use. Okay. We good? We're good. Let me just get this stuff out of the way. Even black, look at that. Come on. What color is that, please? If it was the re-inker, I think that was, oh, no surprise, Speckled Egg. That one was Speckled Egg, which I think is, let me go through my swatch. I would have done a Speckled Egg. I think that. So pretty. Yeah, love it. Okay, moving on. Moving on to our final little Easter thing. I've had good playtime. Okay, back to my story. So we went to the craft store. I'm like, I want to look for some weird stuff. And quite honest, because I've done it for so many years, there's just things that I've seen over and over. I'm like, yep, there's the baskets, there's the wood eggs. But this year, I saw something that just made me smile. And I'm like, this is it. And I will say that when I showed it to Mario, he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. So if you've been to any of the stores, you've seen like these crazy styrofoam flocked rabbits. They're like everywhere, from Walmart to even the dollar store, okay? So they have that weird little flocky fuzz on there. And I think the shape of that rabbit is adorable, but I've never seen them so dinky. These are like little 3-inch rabbits. They are made out of styrofoam. They only came in pink. They had this really delightful bow on them. But I'm like, I'm so getting these. And he's like, okie dokie. So after we got them, really inexpensive, I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And thank you, Mario, for helping me. I'm like, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to give them different colors. And because they're styrofoam and because they're flocked, ink would not work on it. Not a spray, not an oxide. It needs to be something that would work on something synthetic. And that would be distressed paint. So we just took out some distressed paint, some colors, and there's a lot of, I mean, these were Easter colors that we use, but you could use whatever colors. And if you ever want any of your, let's say you don't have pastel colors because you don't normally use it, I'm sure you have this in your stash. So you could take white and mix it with any of your other colors to create a pastel. That's easy. Okay, so just remember that if you're like, yeah, I don't really use pastel, but maybe you want for Easter, there you go. He painted them. So we first ripped off the bow, and yes, that left a little mark, but what I did with it, you're not gonna worry about it. And it painted it. And what's weird is it still kept that flocky texture, which was interesting yet annoying because I really thought it would cover that up. Okay.
Interesting yet annoying.
Well, yeah, because I thought they would, you know, I thought painting it like would just make it more of just a smooth surface, but I didn't mind. It was interesting. And we used a little skewer, stuck that in.
A smoothie one.
The smoothie one, because these already had holes in them, but they are styrofoam. So, you know, don't do any like embossing glaze or anything crazy. No yeah, no roasting them. Okay. Then after we painted them and the paint dries, he's like, okay, here you go. And he thought I was like done. And then
You're never done.
He came in and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I got to use this stuff because I made this. I talked to people about making it. Remember rock candy, the craziness that we did last year with not only this cute little size of regular rock candy, but we launched chunky. I'm like, then we talked about tinting it in all the colors and making all of this. There is a video on this. If you haven't tinted your glitters yet, to make all of your own custom colors of glitter, just using this and alcohol ink, it is so easy to do. And there's a video tutorial on that. Thanks, Mario. And then look at chunky. Oh my gosh, chunky, when you color it, it is like, my word, every color of sugar under the sun. But I don't use it a lot. I mean, I like to use it for shakety shakes. Most of the time I'll use it just in its clear form. And I like to mix the two sizes. So I definitely love having, you know, that chunky glitter, but kind of mix. That's just what I like to do. So I'm like, I'm going to do something with these. I'm going to glitter these. So I took some collage medium and I took my colors of glitter, get this out of the way, move this off to the side. And this is what I ended up making, which I just think are the sweetest, most sugary, cute little rabbits ever. It is Easter magic. And these, you know, they're going to go into a dome. They're just going to get used because they are like pure, perfect nostalgia to have these little rabbits, these little sugary rabbits. And yes, I went extra. I covered an entire tray with glitter, but it's going to go back. It was only one container, but it will go right back. But I love that. So down here underneath was like the leftover mixture from doing one rabbit. And honestly, from that container, I literally put, gosh, I wouldn't even say a half a teaspoon of glitter. And I was like, oh, I don't want to, because I mixed it. So I knew I couldn't pour it back in the container because I did a little bit of the fine and a little bit, oh, let's put him back up, a little bit of the chunky because I love mixing the two particle sizes. So I knew I couldn't put it back in, okay? But then after I did it, and I'm going to demo this, we still have the neck thing to deal with. So hold tight and we'll talk about how I did the neck thing because, well,
That is a beautiful tray.
I'm out of room. It's a beautiful sight. It's sugary happiness, huh? So my point is,
Heidi's secret ingredient. Big
yeah,
time.
definitely. My point is when you're out and about and you see a shape of something you like, you may not like anything else about it. You may not like the color, the texture, the decoration, but you like the shape. You can modify that with stuff that you have. So this could be, again, anywhere, craft store. It could be, I mean, it could be a rubber eraser if that's what you want. It doesn't really matter, okay? So what I did is I mixed parts of glitter. So I think I'll do that. That's what I'll do. I'll do the whole thing because I don't want you to see where I started. So there's my cup that I did. So this one is a blue base. So let's see, what color I mean, I guess we can still do that color of sugar, but maybe we want to do something different. I don't know. I don't know what other color. You guys care about what color? You don't care? Okay, let's go with that. We can do that same little sugary one. This one, that's salvage patina. This one right here was cracked pistachio, which is actually, it's alcohol ink. So the alcohol ink is, I think that one was moss. This one was patina. But I think I'm actually going to do a little lighter. I think that's going to be really pretty. So this, I think, is a little bayou. Okay. So we're going to take that glitter, because this way I'll have a different color. And I'll take that same glitter in chunky. So those are the colors I took out. Love these little storage trays too. They have lids. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our pre-tinted glitter. We're going to pour a little bit in there. There's that. See, it's not a lot, just a little bit. And I just thought that's not going to be enough. Crazy. And then we're going to do a little bit of chunky. Tappity tap, don't get all crazy. There you go. So we got chunky, and then we're going to mix it up. Now remember, rock candy doesn't go airborne, so even mixing it up is not going to have it flume out of the cup. It's not that kind of glitter. Okay. So next, let's just move this out of the way. I don't trust myself for now. Thanks, Mario.
Sure.
I just said, I'll bring it back, but you know, I don't want things to get out of hand so early. You're going to need your rabbit. You're going to need your glitter. You're going to need something to dump over, pour things over. And my glue of choice is going to be collage medium for this. I did try glossy accents. Glossy accents did not work. It dried way too quick into this fluffy stuff. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. But some sort of glue that's thick enough that's going to give you time. Okay. So I'm just going to start brushing collage medium onto this. And you could be pretty generous. I mean, you don't want to spackle it on, right? You're not frosting a cupcake, but at the same time, just be generous to start because you can smooth out any excess. But you're going to see if you're going to try this and you find some flocked rabbits, this flock finish is just weird. It's weird. You feel like it's a sponge, but it isn't. I mean, it definitely holds. But once you cover it and you can see that you have that little bit of a shine, that's now when I go in and just spread it out. And I do this in stages. So first I'm going to do like his head and his ears, and then I'll do his body. Just because I want to make sure that this stays wet to hold the glitter. But I also want to make sure that I don't leave any chunks of glue, because then that's just going to turn into chunks of glitter. Okay, I set that there. I take my little mix. I just start pouring it on. So I'll start on the ears, I'll start on the face, and I'm just shaking it out of the cup right over that thing. Don't freak your freak when you run out. That's why you have a container. pour it right back in the cup, and you continue. So I'm going to actually do 2 passes with this because I want to make sure that I've covered every little bit. So once that's done, dump it out, and just going to do it again. So no more glue. I just want to make sure that if there is still exposed glue, the glitter is going to touch it. Now, why do I mix it? Because the mix of glitter is going to have a fine glitter and a chunky glitter. So you not only get the cool big sparkles of chunky, but you also get the little twinkle of fine. And I think that mix is just perfection. Oh, look, he's got a little whisker. Animal. Beautiful. All right, move on. So next, just going to keep going. So just start here on his neck, paint, and I'm going to do the whole bottom section also at the same time. When you're doing this, make sure you're not holding the bunny over the collage medium because a little bit of the vibration, some of the glitter that didn't really grab onto something might fall off. You never want to press the glitter on there because glitter sparkles because it lands in different ways. And that's what catches the light and that's what makes it twinkle. So if you pack it down or you press it into the glitter, because you might be like, oh, I would just roll it in there like a donut. Okay, but you're not going to get it to sparkle because most of the glitter is going to end up flat because you've rolled or pressed it onto the surface. So that's why I pour it on the way I do. Learned that trick from Disney Candy Shop when they just poured those sprinkles over those apples, right? Yeah, that's what gets that sugar to sparkle and catch you looking at that candy case. All right, have a nice little layer of collage medium all the way around. Let the sugaring begin. I really like this color combo. This is a good one. There we go. Nice little rotation. Look at that. It's like I've done a few of these already.
Just a few.
Just a few. But see, a little container is all you need. And then we're just going to just keep going. I just think they're really fun. What a cool little embellishment. I think they're going to be absolutely perfect. Tappity tap. And then there is our sugary little rabbits. But see, his shape is so cute. It's just his shape. You know what he needs? You know it. It's going to be little pom-poms, maybe sugary pom-poms.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. So this we're going to let dry. So I'm just going to put that out of my way to dry. You get the idea now. And now, I mean, look at how much glitter we still have left. Now, it's not enough to do another one, but you can see that it's not a ton. You could save it. You can maybe put it in a shaker card. You could save it for a party mix. I don't know, but you don't have to worry about wasting it. Wasting it is not using it. Wasting it is filling up those containers to look at and never use it. So, and this we're just going to clean with water. I'll hand that over to Mario. Thanks, Mario.
Sure.
And just going to clean that off the glass with water while it's wet. Okay. So now we have the cute little rabbits. I'm going to bring them back in. Actually, I can take them off the tray now. You already saw the big reveal, but I will keep them on these little plates because I think they're cute, these little butter pats. This one reminds me of a circus peanut. You know those wonderful peanuts that are bright orange? Oh my gosh, I love those. And I know people really, it's a love or hate, but they're very cute. But one thing that I knew that they needed was they needed a little bow. And if you watch the, here, let me just move these out of the way. I want to keep them, I'm looking at the screen. I want to keep them in frame, but I want them out of my way. There we go. There we go. Hang out, bunny. And we got room for the purple guy.
Yeah, you fit them right in.
Perfect. Okay. So if you remember at Christmas, I found these pre-made bows and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my solution because I cannot tie a bow for nothing. Like I can do a Paula bow, which is kind of fluffy and that's great. I couldn't do it. But I knew that there has to be a way that, because I picked these up at the craft store and these were at Christmas. I happened to go into the sticker aisle and found white and cream. And yes, I went home and tested it to make sure I could color it. And yes, they are completely inkable, either one. So that is how all of these have a coordinating bow, is because I just used Distress ink. I actually used spray stain. Spray stain, way, way easier. So the colors for the bows. Kitsch Flamingo is pink. It's like I'm introducing the lineup. Dried Marigold is peach. Squeezed Lemonade for yellow. Cracked Pistachio for our mint. Tumbled Glass for blue. and shaded lilac for purple. Of course, you could have any color. You could use milled lavender, you could use whatever. But here's how easy it is to do these custom bows. Okay, so they are stickers. So they already come with a sticker, and I use the sticker, but I also use glue. So I took my craft mat because it will stick to the glass. You can take it off, but I didn't want to deal with that. And you peel it off. So it's got this little foamy sticker on it. See, it's kind of what holds it together. You just stick it down. Take a color. Okay, we're going to do blue. I don't know if there's another blue in here. No, this is the only blue that I brought. That's what we're going to use. But we could do speckled egg. So I could totally use that. But let's do tumble glass. You're going to take your spray, and that's it. You've sprayed it. Done. The whole entire bow is done. I took a little paintbrush, picked up that same stain, and just kind of went in that, you know, anytime, like, see, there's a ribbon, there would be a fold, but that's all I did. Then you're just going to take this, you're going to lift it off, put it into kind of a, I'll say a clean or a dry area. Maury, would you mind grabbing me a speckled egg spray stain, please?
Sure.
Thanks. You dab it with a paper towel to pull out any excess dye, okay? This, we're just going to clean up. I mean, you could put a background down and do all your things, but then you're done. The bow is done, and it already soaked through the other side. The entire ribbon is done. So you don't have to soak it. You don't have to do anything. Finished. All right? Done. And never have to tie a bow again. So I'm like, when you think about it, like even when you think about this.
Bam, I found it.
Thank you. Like you could use them for all sorts of things. Like Mr. Rabbit could even become like more dapper with the bow. See? It's like the perfect size, I have to say. But we're going to do a speckled egg one because I want to put it on the one we just sugared. So there you go. And we can put one here. You can, honestly, you could just make whatever color. But sometimes, I mean, for me, it's like a spray and a half because a spray is never enough to hit it. But, you know, whatever works. That one happened to be 3. Okay. So I typically just take a paper towel. I dab it just to get off the excess. And that's really how I clean the mat at the same time. Just what I do. And then I'll just move this in an area. I pretty much hit it twice, so I didn't need a brush for those because I see that I already got it. Take off the ink. Yep. And I would dry them, you know, because they're not soaking wet, obviously, but they're still a little damp. So I'm gonna dry it before I glue it onto something. But these bows they're perfect. And at least now I don't have to, I mean, I'm still gonna obviously stock up on red next Christmas because you could ink it red, but it's not gonna be the same as like red ribbon. But heck, I love the fact that I can color these. All right, let's bring in Mr. Sugar. There we go. Look, he's got his own little coordinating speckled egg. Come on. Now, I don't know if he's ready to come off the skewer. He's not ready to come off the skewer because I would probably give this, I would say 20, 30 minutes to dry because the collage medium we put on really heavy and I want as much glitter to stick as possible. So I'm just going to glue this in midair just to show you. But after it was dry, you take hot glue and in that same weird spot, you're just going to put a little bead of hot glue, or you could put it on the back of the bow. It doesn't really matter where you apply the glue. But even with that foam attached, like the foam just disappears. You're just going to stick that on and there's your little bunny. Come on. So cute. And he's a different color. Very cute. So yeah, a lot of fun. So there we have it. We have sugary bunnies. We have colorful bows.
On the back, oh my gosh.
It's going to be hilarious. We have Mr. Rabbits. We've got backgrounds. We have so much stuff. That was good fun.
Super fun.
Good Easter fun. But you can bet that I'm going to make stuff for Salvage Rabbit. So I wanted to start off the live with that because, like I said, they're gone. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're going to last this year, or maybe this is the year they'll finally sell out. But I'm gonna do some stuff. I can't wait to make with this stuff and actually share makes on social over the next month. It's good fun.